Yes, good afternoon to all of you. Um, this is the 15th week of the coming to the close of the school year. We're just doing some kind of interactive review on some of the topics we did during the course of the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Um, we're doing a review on main idea. What is main idea? We want to discuss what is main idea and perhaps have a short practice with this exercise. So let's look at main idea again. What is main idea? The main idea of a paragraph is what the whole paragraph is mostly about. The main idea of a paragraph is what the whole paragraph is mostly about. Now, as you read Ben's letter, think about the main idea of each paragraph. Now, just to stress what we did the last time, we spoke about main idea, which we said is what the whole paragraph is mostly about. As we read through this letter, you will see whole paragraphs. Each paragraph has a main idea. As we go along, we'll begin to look for them. Let me read the letter through. Marco got a letter from his uncle Ben, the airplane pilot. Uncle Ben has traveled all over the world. Dear Marco, it is my third time visiting Paris, and I think it is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Paris, as I am sure you know, is the capital of France. Today, I walked along the Avenue des Champs-Élysées, Élysées, which is the most famous street in Paris. I think it may be the most famous street in the world. It is lined with beautiful trees, fountains, and flowers. There are shops, theaters, and restaurants, and many sidewalk cafes. I had a wonderful lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. The pastry I had for dessert was especially delicious. Paris is known for its fine French cooking. I noticed on the cafe menu that they serve one of the most popular French dishes, which is escargot. Snail in other words. I don't think I'll be trying that while I am here, though. When you think of Paris, you probably think of the Eiffel Tower. Anyone visiting Paris has to see the Eiffel Tower. You can see the top of the Eiffel Tower from anywhere in the city. It's almost 1,000 feet tall. When it was built, it was the tallest building in the world. You can walk up the stairs to the top, or you can take an elevator. From the top, you can look out across all of Paris. It is an amazing sight. Tomorrow, I'm going to Louvre Museum. It's one of the largest museums in the world. Once, it was the French King's Palace. Now it is home to some of the most famous artworks in the world. I'm looking forward to seeing the Mona Lisa painting. Have you seen pictures of it? It was painted over 500 years ago. There have been many poems and songs written about it. The woman in the painting has a little half smile. To me, that makes it seem like she has a secret that she's going to tell. Yours truly, Uncle Ben. Now, this letter was written by Uncle Ben. Of course, you know that. He wrote the letter to Marco. In the first paragraph, he told Marco that it was his third time. So that means he visited Paris 3 times. And he thinks, as far as he's concerned, that it is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And of course, he's just trying to let us know again that Paris is the capital city of France. And he, according to this letter, he walked along the Avenue de Champs Elysees, and he says it is one of the most famous streets in Paris. And maybe he thinks, it is his opinion, he thinks that it may be the most famous street in the world. That is what he thinks. He's describing the street that it has beautiful trees, fountains and flowers, shops, theaters, restaurants, sidewalk cafes. In the second paragraph, it tells us that he had a lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. Now, how do we find the main idea in each paragraph? Usually the first sentence in a paragraph is the main idea, like in this one. This is my first time visiting Paris. And Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Can be a main idea, for example. In the second paragraph, he said that he had a wonderful lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. And all the others are little details. When you think of Paris, he says, when you think of Paris, you will think of a famous place called the Eiffel Tower. And anyone visiting Paris had to see the Eiffel Tower. If you're on top of the Eiffel Tower from anywhere, you can see the top of the Eiffel Tower anywhere you are in Paris. It's about 1,000 feet tall, very tall. And he said, when this tower was built, it was said to be the tallest building in the world. You can walk to the top, or you can go use an elevator to get to the top. From the top, you can see all across Paris. It's an amazing sight, okay? So if we look for main idea in this paragraph, you would think that Paris, Eiffel Tower is the most beautiful, the highest building in the world, the tallest building in the world, probably. Then he says in the last paragraph that the following day, he was going to visit Louvre Museum. It's one of the largest museums in the world. And it was the King's Palace during the time at one time. Now it is home of many famous works done in art, and is looking forward to look at Mona Lisa's paintings. It was painted 500 years ago, and there have been many poems and songs written about it. And it says it makes it seem like she has a secret that she's going to tell when you look at the picture, the painting, because the woman is half smiling. Right. Now let's look at the questions. We are looking for main ideas. The first question says, what is the main idea of the first paragraph? A, Paris, the capital city of France. B, this is the third time Uncle Ben has visited Paris. C, the Avenue de Champs is the most famous street in Paris. There are many sidewalk cafes on the Avenue de Champs Elysees. Let's see which answer is correct. A, B, C, or D. The first answer, let's look at the question again. What is the main idea of the first paragraph? C, the Avenue de Champs Elysees is the most famous street in Paris. For question 2, what is the main idea of the second paragraph? A, Uncle Ben had lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. B, Uncle Ben had a pastry for dessert. C, the sidewalk cafe has escargot on the menu. D, escargot are snails. Let's check the answer. Second answer, number 2. Number 2, what is the main idea of the second paragraph? A is correct. Uncle Ben had lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. He had lunch at one of the sidewalk cafes. If we look back at the second paragraph, it is in fact the first sentence. It is the first sentence in the paragraph. Usually the main ideas are the first sentences in each of the paragraph. Let's look at the third question. What's the main idea in the third paragraph? You can see the top of the Eiffel Tower from anywhere in the city. The Eiffel Tower is almost 1,000 feet tall. When you think of Paris, you probably think of Eiffel Tower. You can take an elevator to the top of Eiffel Tower. Paragraph 3 mostly talks about Eiffel Tower, but which one of them is the main idea about the Eiffel Tower? So question 3, well, the answer is C. When you think of Paris, you probably think of the Eiffel Tower. Question 4, what's the main idea of the last paragraph? Uncle Ben is planning to visit the Louvre Museum. B, the Mona Lisa is one of the paintings in the Louvre. C, the Louvre is one of the largest museums in the world. D, many poems have been written about Mona Lisa. Let's look at for the main idea in question 4. A lot of facts. Question 4, the answer is A. Uncle Ben is planning to visit Louvre Museum. If we go back to the fourth paragraph, it says in the first sentence, tomorrow I'm going to the Louvre Museum. That's the following day. Question 5. What's the main idea of Uncle Ben's letter? Okay. If we should, from all what we've read about the whole letter, the whole letter tells us about Uncle Ben's visits to Paris. Uncle Ben's visit to Paris. All the other things that he told us are the things that he saw when he went to visit Paris. So this is just one of the lessons we did in the previous days, and it's which we are using today as a practice lesson for the preparation for a test or a quiz. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hope to see you again for another revision lesson. Thank you for joining me.